What is up, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Back again for another review of Spartacus, House of Ashur. We are on episode 6. I believe it's entitled Empty Things. And so, excuse me, what can I say? You know, last week, and many of you agreed with me that last week was the best episode of the season thus far. Yes, there were a few naysayers in the comments, which that's cool. I mean, you know, it's not going to be for everybody, but for the most part, most of you agreed with me that last week was the best episode. So this episode 6, had a lot to live up to. But as far as a score goes, because I gave last week's a 4 out of 5, I gave this one a 3.5. And I don't have a problem with it because, you know, following an episode like that, you definitely got to let things breathe and, you know, kind of cool things off a little bit. But a lot of shows make the mistake of they'll do a great episode mid-season or something like that, and then they end up getting like 2 filler episodes in a row. And that's the thing about this episode. The temperature went down, not too much, but things in this episode are setting things up to progress the season till its season finale. So like there are pieces on the chessboard that are moving in this episode. You know, there's a lot of political movement, a lot of scheming going on in this episode. Not a whole lot of action as far as with the Gladiator stuff going on, but there are, like I said, there are moves being made and a lot and that will have further reaching ramifications and consequences. So like I said, all in all, this was a great episode. I just say it's a little bit under last week's episode. So with that being said, I'm going to get into the episode. I'm not going to do a scene by scene recap, which these reviews sometimes turn into. I'm doing my best not to do that. I want to kind of keep it as tight as possible, but
stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
You know, once we get talking about the episode, guys, you just can't help it. You know, you go on and on, which I'm doing right now.
Yo, you about done? Tick tock, motherfucker.
So I'm gonna stop going on, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into my thoughts about the episode. So first thing I want to talk about in this episode, Corus got a lot of exposure in this episode, you know. And the thing about him is I talked about in my breakdown, the preview to this, the mystery person who got thrown off the cliff. I thought it was maybe a messenger that was sent. No, it turns out it was the Medicus. Because we bring Akquila back, and she's worse for wears. I mean, she's you know, her hand was sliced open. Well, the Medicus she had an infection, and he's basically like, we got to cut the hand off. And you know, Ashur just snaps and tosses the man off the cliff. So because of that decision, he sends Corus to go speak with Opener about acquiring his Medicus because he knows they're tight, or you know, they tight. He wants to. But anyway, he goes over, and Corus sees that Opener, he's leaving. He's leaving. He's getting the hell out of town. He's getting the hell out of Akquila. And he's asking him, what's going on? Why are you leaving? And Opener, the jig is up. He finally reveals the issue, his involvement with the market attack with the Cilician pirates, with Caesar. He was in on it. He knew what was going to happen. And he even admits that I didn't know it was going to come to that. He didn't know it was going to come to blood. He just thought, let's just say what he thought. And it could be he's just super naive. I mean, I kind of would describe this character as such. He's a very naive character. And in this world of Spartacus, this universe, you can't be that naive. Because the consequences of being naive in this world are not good. And let's just say none of it's any different for Opener, and we'll talk about it later. But anyway, of course, Corus is pissed about it. And he basically says, I'm leaving because, you know, he's caught in this web, and he's getting the hell out of there because of Caesar's wrath. Because it totally makes sense. I will say this. He's not naive about this thinking, because if you're involved with a conspiracy with somebody, like I said, I heard a saying, how is the best way to keep a secret between three people? You kill the other two people. So Opener is basically a patsy and he's like, I'm getting out of here before he can do anything. And so he extends the offer to Corus. And you see Corus he's thinking about it. He wants to do it, but a part of him is like, I can't do it because, the gladiators and what he does. Because it's crazy. Corus is on paper a free man, but is he truly free? It's like with, Opener tells him, you're old, you're up in years, man. I mean, no disrespect, but you come with me, you can live a nice, calm, nice life for the rest of your years. Because that's what I feel about Corus. Like, he's free, but in his mind, I don't think he's free. He says he's free, but like the way he answers to Ashur and what he has him doing, he's basically doing what Ashur and him was doing, when Ashur was doing for Batiatus. And he just happens to be the Doctori as well. So, and then we go back where Corus goes back to the Ludus to confront Ashur. And he asks him, I knew Caesar was in on this. Did you know? And he was like, I wasn't in on the plan, but I knew. So like when he found, and that's the thing, the disrespect, he should have told Corus immediately. Like, Corus is supposed to be your right hand. He should have told him immediately when he found out. Once again, a decision Ashur makes that's going to make it a lot easier for Corus to leave with Opener, if he decides to. And that's another thing. Ashur, he kind of get his pride. He gets a little too high on his horse with certain people. And we'll see what happens when he does that. He starts to feel himself too much, and he starts, talking that talk and walking that walk, and then the shit comes back on him. Like, he's just one of these guys. Sometimes he gets in his own way. He does something great, he'll take 2 steps forward and he'll do some stupid shit and knock himself down. Because at this point, his popularity is through the roof. Well, at least his popularity is through the roof on the streets. Let's talk about this next character. I said I can't stand Cornelia. But damn it, she was making some moves this episode. And it's like her and Caesar are one. They are a political dynamic duo. I think of that, the picture of Dwayne Wade tossing the alley-oop to LeBron. She's basically setting it up and Caesar's going to dunk it. And so what we get at the beginning of the episode, she's establishing that now she call her Dominus. Don't even call her Domina. Dominus or Domino. She's running the show. She's sleeping with slaves in Ashur's bath.
Lord, such nastiness.
Ashur, with the Akquila down, they want to do an interim champion, so they're doing a tournament. She comes in, interrupts no, we're not doing that. And she ends up taking Tacron and 2 of the other gladiators, and she invites Casudia and Veridia without even telling Ashur. She brings them over because, once again, this is all a part of a plan her and Caesar have. Because if you guys remember, I mean, it was the last episode or the episode before, Casudia, she was over at Opener's getting, like I said, had a slave deep sea diving on her. So I'm sure Opener told that information to Caesar. Caesar told that information to Cornelia, and that's why Cornelia brought in the gladiators and had them disrobe, and even, oh my God, another power play, had Ashur disrobe. Basically, oh, you used to be a gladiator too? Oh, well, all right, go ahead, pull it out. She basically had these guys had the meat out in front of, and then they, of course, after Ashur making him feel like a bitch, he leaves. And she's like, I want to see them, I want to see, the full extent. So she starts having these dudes, do things to themselves, knowing that that's going to turn Casudia on. And then the the expertise of it all is that's when she turns the screws. Because then she moves in and then she starts, rubbing on, touching on Kasudia. And then they start talking about, your daughter. I think we got a match for her. A man named Quintus, who just happens to be an ally of Caesar's. Now, Kasudia at first is like, well, my husband, but as things go on, the scene cuts away. We later find out that, she got on board. She got on board with what Cornelia was wanting. And then so we move over. And before I move on, I mean, damn. It's like the movie Training Day. I've been planning this all week. They've been planning her and Caesar. And Caesar, it shows that Caesar, he's moving on his own. And that's the crazy. These two ambitious, because you think, oh, he's moving with crap. No, Caesar is doing this on his own. He's making moves on his own. And he's starting small and building while Crassus is occupied with Pompey, he's making his own moves behind the scenes so he can eclipse both of them, which in history he ends up doing. So it's crazy to see him doing his thing, so yeah, it's like I said, I can't stand Cornelia, but that's the thing about those kind of characters. You love to hate them. And I can't stand her. And then I found out the actress who that plays Cornelia is married to Stephen S. DeKnight. So, it's crazy. But we also get some touching scenes with Veridia and, Asher, where she apologizes for Cornelia's behavior, also telling Asher that she was impressed with everything, if you know what I mean. And so they began to talk, and Veridia starts to share some feelings with Asher to the point that, like, saying that he inspired her to search for purpose in her life other than just being the voiceless wife in a villa. And it had to do with his presentation of Akquila, the goddess of death. And if you guys remember, she was mesmerized when she saw her. And so she's getting the courage because she doesn't want to be like her mom. Her mom has this outward appearance that she's this bitch, but really she's a bird trapped in a cage. For all of her boasting and her disrespect and attitude, she's trapped like all the women basically in that time. The crazy thing about it is that they're free, but they're really not. If you think about it, their rights, they have a little bit more rights than a slave, but for the most part, they are slaves and beholden to their husbands. If their husbands decide whatever, they can't do nothing about it. So that was an interesting exchange between the two. And we also learned a little bit about Asher. He talks about his mother and his sister, and and we later hear him talk about the gods, how, and there'll be a scene I'm going to talk about later where, there's another vulnerable side to Asher that we see that, we're not used to. And so, but yeah, we see the blossoming of Asher and Veridia, that relationship. It's one of those things with this world, man. Nobody has a happy ending. So moving on. So Cornelia basically tells Asher that, you gonna go over and talk to Gabinius. You gonna get him to get on board with this marriage proposal for Quintus and Veridia. So Asher, of course, goes over, and like I said, these scenes with Gabinius and Asher, I really enjoy them. Like I said, these are two men. Like I said, Gabinius is started. Like I said, he's showing more and more respect, and this one is even better than the last. And basically, Asher puts it out on the table. Like, look, they sent me over here to get you to have your daughter marry Quintus, Caesar's ally, and they discuss once again that these moves are Caesar's on his own. He doesn't work with Crassus. And Asher says, I'm all in on Crassus. I owe him everything. So I'm giving you this information because what Caesar's doing is in opposition to what my Patreon would want. And so Gabinius respects that and goes, okay. So he says he's going to denounce it. And because Ashur puts it out on the table that he doesn't want his daughter to be a chess piece on the board. Now, is he saying that because he truly believes that? Yes and no. I believe a piece of him believes that, but also he don't want her going nowhere because he's feeling her. He's feeling her. And so, but once again, I'm going to talk about Ashur's mouth and Hilarious. So we'll start with Ashur. Now, the thing about Ashur is he's feeling good. He's walking the streets and everybody's like, when we go see the goddess of death? When we go see the goddess of death? He's like, in due time, the goddess of death will return. And of course, Proclus shows up. And Proclus is telling them like, hey, and see, this is where his pride, this may be the ultimate undoing of Ashur. Because I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, you have to play the game. And so Proclus is telling him like, yo, look, I'd like for us to broach a deal where when your champion comes back, I give her my lesser opponents and build her up even more and, help your house rise. And, Ashur tells him to eat shit. And the reason for telling him to eat the shit is because in a previous scene, Opener comes up with a deal to get Corus free of Ashur. He basically says, look, I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to give it everything to him. I'm going to give him my ludus. I'm going to give him my slaves and gladiators, or maybe not the house slaves probably, but like the gladiators. He can have all those. He can't turn, like, it's basically an offer he can't refuse. He can't turn that down. And so based on, because Ashur initially says, let me sleep on it. But based on his answer to Proclus, he's already made his decision because he's like, I'm coming up in the world. But the fucking pride kicks in. He makes a fucking mistake by opening his mouth, running his mouth, talking about, oh, well, let's just say a certain someone is spiriting away and he's going to leave me his ludus. And all that is in it. And so right away, you could tell the gear, like when I heard him say that, I was taking notes. I threw my pen down on the ground and was like, Opener's dead because he's going to know who that is. And so, of course, he finds out who it is. And this scene, it's like a fucking horror movie. You got the lightning and the storm is coming and you have the brothers Farak scurrying around Opener's villa like fucking horror villains. There's one point where all three brothers are standing next and the lightning strikes and you look off the wall and you see the silhouette of the brothers. And of course, we don't see what they did to him, but they butchered him. They butchered Opener. He's gone. He's out of here. He's out of the world. Of course, like I said, I talked about ramifications and like these things I'm talking about, they're going to have further and further ramifications because with the decision being made by Ashur, Calidus wins the interim belt. They all fight. He defeats his son, Tacron, in the final. He's the interim champion. Ashur stops it and says Tacron's the champion. Calidus is the new Doctori. And Corus, he's set to leave. But we know what happens. And so, everything's probably going to revert back. So like Corus will probably go back to Doctori. Calidus will be the interim champion because I don't see his son keeping the claim because he lost. His dad beat him. So, but once again, or if Calidus stays as Doctori, this is definitely going to cause this triangle between Calidus, Akquila, and Tacron. Because I think Tacron knows there's more to his father, like, oh, I'm just checking on her for the honor of this house. You clapping them cheeks. You're a little tender. You're tender. and I can tell it's coming off of you. And so it's definitely going to be a Crixus Spartacus season 1 blood and sands between Akquila and Takron. So that happens. And then I want to talk about, before I get out of here, I'm going to talk about Akquila and Hilaria. We'll talk with Hilaria. Because of the way she got too high on her horse, being the Vilica, treating Messia like shit. And it's like, at the end of the day, Hilaria, you are a slave as well. You just have a little high position, but she's talking shit to Messia and treating her like shit. Now, Messia, who Cornelia, I won't say taking a liking to, but kind of has her as her underling. She's sitting, and that's the thing about these Romans. They just say whatever in front of these slaves or whatever. Like, these slaves don't understand what's going on. But anyway, Messia's hearing all this, taking it all in. She's hearing everything, this whole plan for Caesar, Quintus, and among other things. When Hilaria is going in on Hilaria asked Messia, what did you were in the room with them, what did you hear? And she says, nothing of note. And see, if she would have been more gentle, she could have told her what she could have told Ashur, which, would have made Hilaria look good. But because she's on her high horse and has all that pride, we see what happened. And just to wrap this up, Akquila. So in which I figured this was going to happen, like, she got that infection and fever, so she's in and out of console. We see flashbacks of her fighting in her village, what appears to be with some invaders, probably slave traders. We see where she gets the injury on her hand. It looks like the guy had some kind of barbed whip, and she caught it, wrapped around her hand, and it ripped her hand open. So that's where that came from. But we also see a young girl. Now, I don't know if that's her daughter, but it's definitely somebody super close to her. And she's fighting fiercely to save her. Because the girl's being dragged off. And I think due to her hand being injured, when she goes to throw the spear, she doesn't get it out fast enough. And one of the slavers, I'm assuming, puts the girl in front, and he ends up getting killed alongside with the girl. As he's trying to pull her away, she incidentally steps in front of him, and the spear runs through both of them. Excuse me. And it kills her. So that's some of the trauma she's living with. So while she's having these fever dreams in and out of consciousness. Now, the funny thing about it is we got a new medicus who doesn't speak the common tongue. He speaks Greek. The shit is hilarious because, only word he knows is fuck. And like they're going on and on. And so, but at a point in the episode, Veridia, who knows Greek, she's able to kind of translate and help. But later on, where we're at in this episode, Ashur enlists Corus to come pray with him. And they sacrifice a goat. And Ashur begins his prayers. And if you remember, Ashur talked about, he doesn't pray to the gods. The gods never did anything for him. His little sister and his mother were very faithful, but for him, it was never anything for him. It wasn't his thing. And so, he prays and he prays and he prays, and Akquila wakes up, and you can see like Ashur's emotional. He starts to cry. And so with Akquila waking up, he tells her our journey together is not over. So the whole thing about it is, it's like, will this moment be something new for Ashur? Will he become, I won't say a complete different man, but maybe unlock a piece of him that he didn't know was inside all along? Or is it tears of joy that, yes, my champion has arisen and my house won't go into ruin. I'm still in the game kind of thing. So yeah, guys, man, I'm looking at the time, man. This thing went on a little bit longer than I expected, but damn it, it is what it is, man. I like this show. I enjoy this show. And so, yeah, guys, that's it. Like I said, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And guys, oh man, like I always say, man, if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, the whole damn video, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to view my content. Guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe, smash the like. Get in the comments like you guys have been doing. You guys have been going to work in the comments. I enjoy it. I love engaging with you guys. Let's keep it going. We added nearly another 100 subscribers to the channel. We're almost that I'm almost headed to 1K. 1K was always my first goal. Get to 1K, get to 5K, get to 10K, and on and on and on. But you guys are doing your thing, man, by participating in this channel, and I truly appreciate it. So with that being said, guys, it's your boy P signing off. Guys, I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.